you guys. It is Monday. So of course I've been sick. No makeup read, right? I can barely put some eyeliner on. So let's look at how your kids view you. It could be your grown adult kids. It could be people know I don't like to do 18 and under, but if you have grandchildren that are grown or whatever. But it's whoever if you feel like if it's your teenagers, it's fine. But let's look at how they view you. All right, pal two, my nose is running. I don't know why I decided to do a reading. I can never sit still. But let's look at how your children view you. I'm going to put it down so I can blow my nose in a minute. But everybody's parents are differently, so I had to do a pick a pal, right? So we can get, because I knew it was going to be some different energy. Only take about 10% and say this shit don't belong to you, and you can pick as many pals as you want. How do your children view you? I always get sick. I lose weight, build up my immune system, eat healthier. How do your children view you? How do your lovable? Lovable, victorious. You could have been through a lot in your lifetime. A survivor. Have a lot of joy, a lot of accomplishments, achievements. I don't think you were always there. It was delayed. It wasn't denied. This is Six of Wands. People look up to you. People respect you. People admire you. People appreciate you. They think you're courageous. They think you're a joy to be around. How do they view you? So some of you guys could experience bereavement, death, broken relationships, family, friends, hostile work environments, bad relationships, love relationships, could have been marriage relationships or whatever. A lot of LGBTQs in this pal. I think they just view you as you're a survivor. You're very victorious and they love you for that. You started off with this. How do your children view you? Good. I hope I don't have to be here that long. Y'all know I'm long-winded. They think you're victorious. Let me read the words on here. They also feel like people don't recognize your worth. Successful. It's official. Maybe people didn't recognize your worth as parents or parent. Step parent don't matter. So that's how they view you. I feel like they feel bad for you. Maybe they don't say that to you because I think you could have children. My nose rang. I have to go to the what you call it shop and get one of them titanium or whatever. Somebody could have been in the military because it says missions are abandoned. So you could, so some of your parents could be autistic. You could be, been, sexually, mentally, physically, emotionally abused, verbally abused, or been in verbal sparring. You could have dealt with some mental issues. We could do it off of this. Retreat. Some of you guys could have some disabilities, learning disabilities, physical disabilities, disabled, broken relationships, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. What is that? No hope. You could have been destitute. You could have lived in a car, homeless, food stamps, live with people, lack of transportation. People talked about you, gossip. You could have talked to your children. You ever see parents that talk to their children and you have some regret? Your adult children or children, teenagers, whatever, they look at you as survivors, right? You know how maybe you was thriving at one time. Surviving, right? And now you could be thriving. So I don't know your backstory. You could have suffered some grief. I see a car accident, a truck accident, something like that. It's my birthday in May. Did you live with somebody? Yeah, somebody suffered some domestic violence, men and women. You could have cried a lot as men and women. Symbolism, right? It could have been physical tears, but you had a lot of hurt and pain. So so how do your children view you as victorious, right? So this is the power. You could have a little boy, little girl, and people know I don't like talking about children, but I'm channeling it where they, daddy, mommy, I still love you, right? Whether how hard or how it gets, they still love you. I feel like crying because I feel like as men and women, you try very, very hard, and maybe sometimes your life seems like mazes that you have to go through, or you hit them concrete block walls. You get what I'm saying? Whether it's from people, work environments, life just it hasn't been good to you. Maybe it could be ancestral programming, patterns of behavior. You get what I'm saying? But you've been through a lot. But your children feel like you're a survivor, you're victorious, right? Yeah, so there's some prayer warriors in here. So people are in the faith, but there's also some atheists in here. Where I see some alcoholic drug addicts. Like, this is an emotional power. These are people who made some bad choices, bad decisions. They also view you that you have overcome some things. So this is the power where they could say, my mom and dad's working on their healing. Maybe you had a bad temper. Maybe you could have been temperamental. Maybe you could have been a pushover. Sorry, you know, they could have looked at you as weak, and maybe you walked up in your strength. Maybe you allowed people to do things to you, intentionally, unintentionally, consciously, unconsciously, but they look at you as victorious, right? Yeah. You could be activists and advocates now, like it could be a part of the Me Too movement. Working food bank lines, some kind of social services job. You could be a tarot card reader, psychic, a seer. You could TED Talk, be, went back, got your GED, went back and got you some college degrees, or got some kind of certification, started a business, rags to riches, like rags to riches, or just rags to survival, got us out of the, the hood, like, or in the hood, you keep your house nice, your house clean, like that. Even if you suffer some depression or something like that, you made some mistakes, they just feel like you're a survivor, right? Okay, good. We can do one card on this. I need to get back in bed. I don't even know why I got up. It's on my spirit. Abandoned. I feel like people abandoned you. See the words? Ooh, that's gonna fall. Hold on, y'all. Oh, I might have to cut this off for a minute. Hold on. Fall, and I almost caught that. I think you could have been on the brink of a mental health breakdown, or you could have had some kind of breakdown. And I feel like, I got to decorate the bag. I feel like it was that critical for you. Whatever your circumstances and background is. Because you see how I did that, but so you figure it out, but you was at the edge. Whether you did some time, hurt, pain, divorce, separation, some kind of physical abuse from your family, your friends, working by something like that. But you survived, right? And I feel like people did abandon you, right? So that's how your children view you, right? As victorious, undead. Some of you guys were sick, yeah, mentally or physically. Okay, yeah, military. Somebody could have some PTSD, is that how you say it? Or postpartum after having children. This is very sad. How do you children? But it's in their eyes, you're wonderful. You're their superhero. You're their role model for reality. You showed your children what real perseverance looks like. Stability looks like. Because if they were not stable, because you could have different phone numbers, addresses, zip codes, maybe broken relationships, whatever, different jobs, something like that. But you showed them, like you end up showing them. That's and they like that, right? How do your children view you, Pal 2? Victorious, successful, survivor, whatever your achievements and goals are. Oh gosh, look, Ace of Cups. This is Ace of Chalice. Ace of Cups is love. They feel like you're loyal to them, that they feel safe. Like, they'll go, when you have a baby, what do babies need? Money. The people, we got money. No, they're babies. Babies don't know nothing about no money. Babies need to feel safe. You got to keep safe. You got to hold them. You got to protect them. Make sure nobody don't hurt them babies, right? Babies need love, right? You want to hug them. You want to kiss them. You keep them warm, right? And then as they grow and they go in different stages of Piaget and Erickson and all that shit you learn in psychology, they need to have different needs, right? Different ages, different needs. And that's how they feel like. They feel like you allowed them to process different needs, that you were there for them no matter what. It's Ace of Cups. That you were that safety net of love. Sometimes we didn't have no food. Yeah, sometimes mom and dad wasn't working. Sometimes I was in a bad relationship. You know what I mean? No transportation. Maybe we had to live with somebody, housing. You get what I'm saying? Maybe some of you have some addictions or something like that. Or you get what I mean? But they know that you processed all these different things. Because look, that says hate, anguish, envy, love, sadness, hunger. And that says fear. And although you might have operated out of that, new relationships, emotional journey. You took your kids on an emotional journey, so they know that you caused them some suffering in silence, Pal 2. You caused them some hurt, some pain, and some suffering in silence. But the good news is they see that you got yourself back together, right? You built yourself back. You put them pieces back together, and they know that but at the end of the day, you love them, right? And I just told Pal 1 the story when my son was in Manhattan. I told the story when I had my first channel, and he called me and he was in tears. He said he was a white lady. She had 5 kids and they was in the car in Manhattan parked. And he didn't want to scare her, but he had her roll the window down because he sensed that she was homeless. Make a long story short, he put her up in New York for a whole week. He didn't give her no money, put her up for a whole week, and he gave her some money. I'm not telling him he gave her some money, but he put her up for a whole week. And he said what she reminded him of is, it wasn't so much that she was homeless or any of that she kept her family together. And I started crying, right? And I was like, well, the homeless, he was like, didn't get to you. He was like, it wasn't so much that she was homeless, that she didn't give her kids away. Because she had teenagers to little kids. Because, you know, the teenagers go off or they give them, and she kept, and he said, Mommy, that reminded me of you. So it's not a great story because maybe she was in an abusive relationship or maybe she made bad choices, financial decisions, struggles, whatever. But at the end of the day, them kids, her children, knew that she loved them, right? And so that's how your kids look at you, right? You know, so wasn't always peaches and cream. I'm not gonna say that, right? New love, friendship, relationship, take for granted. People could have took you for granted, yeah. And then it says beginnings, and it says an emotional journey. I can't read that. It seems like they want me to read it. You could have operated at a lower vibration, and then you started operating at a high vibration. I got stuff around my nose. Hold on. Let me give y'all some cards real quick. I blew my nose on the camera the last time. I don't really care. I was like, let me put this down. That's kind of rude. How do your kids view you? 6 of Wands, once you look it up, Ace of Cups, they love you. They know that you love them, right? If you couldn't give them gifts and Christmas and presents all the time, Ace of Cups talks about giving and gifts and loyalty and trust. They know that eventually it will happen. They trust you. They love you. And 111 is all on the clock. I'm paying attention. Look for all 4 ones. All one. They know that you love them, right? They know they know that. How did your children view you, pal 2? Sorry, pal 1. Yeah, why did I say pal 1? They could have had some energy of pal 1, right? You know what I mean? But pal 1 learned to grow and change, right? I feel like you've made a lot of mistakes, but you've grown and you changed, right? But pal 1's heart was blocked. So these are the kind of parents that no matter what, I love you. Maybe you tell them, maybe you verbally say it, maybe you hug them, maybe you kiss them, you know, maybe you do things to let them know that I love you, we're together. Even if you're incarcerated, I love you. They know that you love them, right? Whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, they know that, right? And if you're a person who can't tell your children you love them, you get what I'm saying? Because there's parents like that. They know that's what. See, this Ace of Cups, they know their mom and dad love them, right? Step parent or whoever, guardian or whatever. How do your children view you? So I can blow my nose real quick. How do your children view you? Pile 2. You could have put on a facade, but then you could have gotten some enlightenment. You could have been, because you could have come from some brokenness, because that's a grown man, that's a little boy. This could be a little boy grew up to be a grown man, or this could be a grandparent or a father taking care of his child, or a mother taking care of his child, and then that's a facade. So you could have put on a facade, you know, maybe you didn't live your authentic truth, you know, your true authentic self. And so as you grew and as you learned, as you matured and as you learned things, pal 2, but that's how they view you, right? Yeah. So some of y'all part of LGBTQ, you couldn't come out, or say maybe you wanted to go to school and college, you couldn't afford it and you didn't, or maybe you compared yourself, or you try to live up to other people's expectations, so you put on a facade, maybe behind closed doors with your kids, you'd be like, you know, I want to do this and I want to do that, and so they've seen a lot of facades that you put on. It don't have to jump. It's what I'm drawing to, right? How do your children view you? So I can blow your nose. Rejection. Wow. I said abandonment. I feel like, hold on, y'all. And I can't breathe. I get all hyped up. I feel like your children know that you've been rejected. I do. I feel like, and I know you don't want them to see that. I feel like, but you recovered. And I feel like they've seen you, and some of you guys do good in art or some kind of creativity. You know, maybe people made you suppress that or something like that. But this is the power you've been rejected. I don't care if it's a job or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But somewhere you got some kind of enlightenment. Maybe you had some shit that you had to release. You know what I mean? Maybe it was in some confusion. You know what I'm saying, in your life. I have to look at it, y'all. I said I shouldn't put that tissue. I'm sorry. Let me move it off the camera. What else? What else? Maybe your kids look at you, if people would have walked in my mother and father's shoes. Maybe at one time you weren't open-minded, or you could have been open-minded and people weren't fair to you. I feel like with whoever you raised, they realized that you had to do some healing and they had to get in your shoes. So you got some really good kids, whether they're grown or not, because they understand that maybe you felt excluded, alienated. Maybe you was in environments that wasn't supportive. Maybe you always felt alone, or you were looking for other people's approval. But they feel like you arrived now, like maybe you're the teacher, maybe you have wise counsel. A lot of you guys you dwelled in the past. You could have some righteous anger too. You get what I'm saying? You had some hidden truths, or you know what I mean, or you felt judged, or you judged yourself harshly. But there's some changes needed to be made consciously, reprogramming, and you know, that's how they view you, right? This is the power where parents have been through something, where one parent, and maybe you had clashing views with your children, but as they got older, as they grew, as they matured, they realized that was part of your destiny, right? You had to change. You had to go through things. You could be a radical thinker. You could be totally different and rebellious, something like that. And they go, why did my mom and dad act like that? But now they realize maybe you had hurt, you had pain. You know, you were on this solitary journey by yourself, and it was part of your path. But it created this beautiful person. Some of you could do tarot card readers and psychics and seers and magic, or you know, or you inspire the people, you're a muse to them, or you got this sense of creativity and you did this transformation, and you're very caring, loving, because this is a divine feminine card. All you gotta do is know the colors. Because at one time maybe you could have felt like you didn't have spiritual support, emotional support, physical, financial support, and a lot of confusion was in your life, you know, and out of the consequences and the repercussions and the actions that you took, your children seen that, right? But now you got clarity, now you got support, some kind of revelation, if you will, you know. I don't talk about my relationships to my kids and dog the men out, because I'm the one, as I grew on my healing, I realized that I'm the one subjected them to that, right? So they can't get mad at the man. You know, that's more my responsibility, especially when I worked on my healing. Did they play a part in my pain? Yes, but as I healed, I realized I would have never talked to none of them from high school if I would have had that head start. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just that I'm not the same person. We don't have anything in common. A lot of times we talk to people, we like people because they like us. You know, we're immature, or for all the wrong reasons, or we're programmed, or we're conditioned. And I always say, if I had to do it over again, but you know, it wasn't up to me, I wish my parents would have kept me and my sister in California. You know what I mean? When I think about how I had volleyball trophies for track and volleyball. I went to all white school, of course. You know, I was okay, but I still got them at Chaparral. You know, I had a lot of great memories that I suppressed. If I go to another town, they go, she can't run track, she can't play volleyball. Or when I was 15, I had acne. My mother said, they used to say that she had a pretty brown skinned baby daughter, and her skin was flawless. And I was like, huh? And then after I moved, in my, you know, because you know, you go through acne. Maybe some people have adult acne. My skin is so clear. And then I told my millennials, my 3 adult children, I go, my mom used to say, you know, that my skin was nice, and you get what I'm saying? So, and I'm saying that to say that maybe your children, as adults or whatever, teenagers, they realize that your circumstances, for whatever choices that you made, and that's how they look at you. That's how they view you. Get your last card. How they view my parents' circumstances produced a lot of destructive behavior, vices, addictions, negative behaviors, heartbrokenness, abandonment, right? Because people could abandon you because they were jealous or envious, or they had favoritism, or they had picks, or they didn't walk in your shoes, or they could have made you a dump truck. There's growth. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. There's growth. Because there's some parents, you know, they go through life and they don't grow. They don't learn shit. They still do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But they feel like you've grown a lot. You know, you could be a lot more expressive. Did I drop my... I gotta get my oh man, why didn't I get forget it. I'm gonna hurry up and end this. They just feel like you could be a warrior. You could be about peace, and you taking a stand for yourself, living your authentic truth. You know what I mean? Maybe you teach by example now. You know what I'm saying? I do feel like you suffered. Green talks about grief. You could have suffered some grief. Maybe you didn't know what love was. Now how your children view you. You know what love is, and commitment, and being vulnerable to the right people. Right? Maybe you loved and being committed to the wrong people. Maybe you miss somebody. Maybe they know that you have some kind of sadness that you don't talk about. You know what I'm saying? And you miss somebody. Maybe they know you were a victim. You could have blamed others. I'm sorry. Too. You know what I'm saying? And had some past resentment. You know, but they know that you have potential for growth, and you worked on that. Some of you could have dealt with some gossip, or people gossiped and talked about you. Maybe I feel like there's a lot of naivete and trickery and dump truck. Maybe people manipulated you emotionally, abused you, you could have operated out of fear, rejection or something like that. But I feel like you've grown, and that's how your children view you. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of love here. Green talks about love. It talks about balance and harmony. Can't think. Healing. You could be a healer. You know what I mean? About peace, but you could have blocked your heart. You could have blocked your heart. You could have came from one. Some of you could have came from one, but your heart is open now. And people could have perceived you one way. And they go, that's not my mom. That's not my dad. Because their perception of you, right? And that might have impacted you. And then Green talks about wisdom. You could be very wise type men and women. And for your children, that's what Solomon prayed for. Right? And some of you guys are beautiful and handsome, right? And have an open heart, and people appreciate you. And maybe you're very appreciative, you know what I'm saying? But he prayed for wisdom, and they feel like you're very wise, very mature, very peaceful. You give wise advice, wise counsel. People honor you. Maybe you honor yourself. And they feel like Green talks about chosen. So if maybe you're religious, or, you're some psychic or seer, or you're just a person that you're chosen. You're just chosen in this life to be a change agent, and a lot of transformation. There's a lot of wisdom, and then you could be a leader, and that's how your children view you. And I got to get down. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. Shit, my nose is running. Can't help it. See, let's kick this. How do your children view you, pal? Two. I keep saying one. Some of y'all could have came from pal. Girl, I'm 205 pounds. Pumpkin. How do your children? Some of y'all could overeat. You could neglect your health, or you could neglect yourself. Because I said that. How do your children view you? Or you could be a gym rat. Or you could take really good. I don't feel like you're very balanced. I think Green talks about balance. So you could have became balanced, and how they view you could have not have been balanced. How do your children view pal 2? Moon. Trauma. This is the moon cards. Secretive. Mysterious. A lot of romantic illusions, financial illusions. You could have been hoodwinked. A lot of trickery, naivete, a lot of trauma. Moon talks about trauma, backstabbing. People could have caused you some psychological, emotional, and physical and spiritual pain, emotional manipulation, physical. Maybe you love somebody. Maybe you're very secretive. Maybe you're very isolated or be in solitude. This is the moon card. You can look up the moon card. You could be a visionary. You could dream a lot. You could, you could probably scare people. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Or you could have visions. I'm talking about visions like being clairvoyants and psychics and seers and stuff like that. I think through your hurt, your pain, and your wounding, it turns you into a different type of man or woman. Now, you don't got to be psychics and seers and tarot card readers or whatever, but you could be a counselor or somewhere that you give back. I don't care if you're sitting in a car. You could have a YouTube channel. You're telling your story or something like that because you have a lot of depth to you, a lot of hurt and pain. And the moon card, and that's how your children view you. Yeah. You could have been impatient at one time. I don't know why they say that. You could have suffered from low self-esteem and some insecurities. You could have been overly judged by people. You had a lot of heartbrokenness. I feel like people gave you a lot of your hurt and pain. I feel like that's how your children view you. Some of you got one child, because look at the lobster. The lobster, crab, right? Yeah. They could probably try to hold you back. You could have been very sad a lot raising your children, right? Maybe you go off to yourself and you think that they didn't realize that you were, sad or something like that. And they go, dad or mom is sad, right? All right. How do your children view you? And let's wrap this up. And I could be wrong. What the? Yours jumping out. That's a tarot card. If you knew tarot cards and doing it too, this is the wounded warrior. This is the person that's been through battles. Some you won and some you lost. Some you're victorious and some you're defeated. You get what I'm saying? This is the Four of Wands, whether it's love relationships, work environments, family, friends, been abandoned, PTSD. Look, look at he got this bandage on his head. So they know that you had to take a break. You had to tap out. I'm numb. I'm tired. I'm done. Right? You know what I'm saying? I need to regroup. I need to rest. I need to refocus. I need to center. You know what I'm saying? What is this? Woosah. You know what I mean? Maybe you did a whole holistic approach to life, but somewhere you had to take a break. You get what I'm saying? Because life was getting tough. As the young people say, life was lifing. You get what I'm saying? So you had a lot of ups and downs, but you also had some accomplishments and success. And people go, I ain't have my GED, but maybe you have a tarot card channel. Maybe you just go to work every day, or maybe you went back and got your GED, or maybe you graduated from college. Maybe you have your own business. Maybe your children are your blessing. They turned out right. You get what I'm saying? You did something right. I can't name everything. Maybe you have a car. Like people be homeless on the street and somebody have a car. That's good. To have a car compared to somebody don't have a car, that's good. So maybe you're very grateful and appreciative, and that's how your children view you, that you've been through. Look, I need you to look up. I can't count it right now. What's that? Like the 9 of Wands, wands, rods, and staff. That you were wounded. That you were wounded. Get your last card. That you were wounded. And people didn't see that, or they wounded you, right? But at least you have, that's how they view you. You know, mom and dad have a lot of pain and hurt. Maybe you played the victim. Maybe they got tired of you playing the victim. And so you grew and you growth. And, you know, because I played the victim. That's how my ego, I walked in the room with my ego as a victim. I'm a victim, but I learned to take my power back. You get what I'm saying? I learned to take my power back. I understand self-love. I understand motivating myself. I understand not comparing myself and living up to other people's expectations and their creeds and their beliefs, and what they say to me does not define me, and I don't care what they think. You get what I'm saying? They can call me witches and warlocks all day. I know that my children are very loving. We in this society, we're very productive. Comparing to who? Competing with who? You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And maybe that's where you had to get. Maybe you compared and people put you in competition that you didn't want to be in. You know what I mean? Or they made you value yourself by what they do and their expectations. There's a lot of growth here. Maybe you have a lot of wisdom and you suppressed that, oppressed it. You get what I'm saying? And you grew. There's growth there. That's how you know, maybe you were hard to talk to. Maybe you weren't a good communicator. Maybe they couldn't communicate their feelings and their needs because maybe you were torn in all different directions. Love, finances. I could be here all day. Family, hurt, pain, trauma. And maybe you learned how to put those pieces back together. And that's how they view you because you started with the 6 of Wands. And that is the victorious card. And that's the recognition card. So they know what kind of parent they got. They came a long way. Even if you was a drug addict and you cleaned up your life, or an alcoholic, or, you know, or you maxed out the card, you weren't very financially, stable or good with finance, something like that. You've changed a lot. So there's a transformation here. There's a change here. And that's how your children view you. Because you imagine when your children, adult children go, my mom and dad do the same thing, still gossiping, still low self-esteem, you know, still not doing this, still in toxic relationships, toxic places and things, still allowing people to dump on them, dump truck. I can't name a lot of different things. So some kind of addictions or gambling or something like that. Now, addictions, we know that that's a disease. So I'm not trying to minimize that, and I'm not trying to make light of that or be condescending. But the fact that you want to take part in, you know, trying to progress and work on your healing. You know, maybe you didn't know how to communicate. Maybe you're a great communicator now. Maybe you don't know how to show love, and you do now. You get what I'm saying? Maybe some of you didn't want to be parents. You end up being a good parent, right? I want to make sure I just cover different directions. Maybe you were in bad, broken relationships, and now maybe you do celibacy, abstinence. Maybe you're very picky now, or semen retention, or you watch who you bring around your children or your adults or something like that. Maybe you vet them now. Get your last card. How do your grown adult children view you? Oh, God, the strength. You got an inner strength that's off the chain. You see? And some of you ladies think y'all innocent and angelic, very loving, kind. And then you see how she's taming the lion? Listen, they don't mess with you. You strong. You could be physically strong, mentally strong, spiritually strong, all that. You know, you could be, you speak up for yourself. The strength card, you got an inner strength that's off the chain, patient, passionate, creative. You can handle your own now. You see she taming that lion. That's how they view you. They're going to come get mom. They're going to come get dad. You might have to make a phone call, but they know you're going to be there for them, right? Yeah, you could have operated out of your ego. Maybe you got your ego checked, or maybe you know how to check other people, put them in their place. Yeah, how do they view you? And then I don't want to miss it. You balance your masculine energy and your physical, in your feminine energy, meaning as a man or a woman, because you need to have both. You're caring, loving, compassionate, forgiving, nurturing, feminine energy, right? Empathetic, understanding. We could be here all day. Feminine energy. I don't want to date a man that only operates out of his masculine energy. I need a man to feel. I need a man to be empathetic. I need a man to be compassionate. I need a man to be able to communicate his feelings and needs, because he's going to let all that be all up in him. You get what I'm saying? He could be, that can birth physical violence, mental abuse, silent treatments, being cold or repressed. We can be here all day. I don't want a man like that. Or that can birth lust, temptation, some kind of destructive behaviors, drinking and alcohol to excess, because he's not transmuting that type of energy. So I need a man that can be in touch with his feminine energy, or if you're part of LGBTQ or woman, you get what I'm saying? Oh, and then the masculine energy, where you can be goal, GOAL, goal setters. And daddy going to figure it out. They're going to get a degree. They're going to get a certification. They're going to start a business. They're going to go to work. Very emotional stability, right? Because a lot of you could have had some mental health issues. Now you're emotionally stability. Plus, people come to you for wise counsel. You get what I'm saying? Or you can manifest things. You can make things happen. Or you're a protector. The masculine energy, right? So I need a man that can be attached to his masculine energy. Maybe he feels like that with a woman. I need to be in touch with my masculine energy, because I have to be able to, be confident. I forgot. That's about confidence, right? They don't want me all low self-esteem. So they feel like you can balance both, and you have an inner strength that's off the chain, and you are survivors, and that's how your children view you.